Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I've been catching the rays today, so
Yeah, I was just about to ask what the weather is like over your way. We got the sun back today, so everyone's very happy in Dublin.
yeah, same. I've been out in here all day, to be honest. Got my training out the way, and then been sat in here all day.
What's your training schedule like at the moment?
Um, at the minute, I'm trying to just split it up, so I'm not like punching every day, running every day, or biking, which I've been doing, or doing my S&C. So I've just been doing literally one day of punching, one day of running, one day of cycling, and one day of my S&C. So I just been splitting it up, so it's not getting too repetitive. So
What's
yeah.
what's your setup like at home? Do you have like a little bit of a gym? Do you have a bag set up?
Oh, at the start I only had one bag, but now my gym's like David Lloyd's out in
I
the open
love
as
it.
well. So yeah, I went into my old man's. He's got a yard, so I went into the barn, and we pretty much had everything. And
Brilliant.
we were seeing things that we didn't know we had. So yeah, I've got a full setup now, which is great.
I love to hear that. Taking advantage of the situation, right?
Yeah, well, I if I knew that, I would have got it out sooner.
Yeah.
And but I didn't even know I had it.
Brilliant. So, I mean, would you have anything scheduled for this time? Or would you have just been kind of training away yourself?
No, I would have. I probably no. I was meant to box 2 weeks ago, 9th of May, in Cardiff on the Lee Selby versus George Gamboz's
Amazing.
show. So I was on there, and then I probably would have had a little week or two of rest, and then straight back to work because I wanted to have a sort of a busy year. But with this all going on
Mm.
now, it's come to a halt, and then we just gotta take this time and use it wisely, which I'm doing and staying active. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Is it frustrating for you, like, in terms of motivation and keeping going? Because everyone has a lot of fighters that I've interviewed had so many plans for this year, and it's kind of just, well, obviously everything's up in the air now, so it's hard to kind of stay focused, I imagine. Or is it just part of it you have to adapt and overcome?
yes, adapt. Like for me, since I left school, I was on the GB squad and I was a full-time boxer. I never had the job. I just boxed. So even though this is going on, my daily routine is training anyway. So
Hmm.
some people can't find the motivation or whatever. Like I'm self-motivated and it's habit for me now. It's just get up, train, go eat, sleep, go and train again. But obviously with this, I'm trying to keep it to once a day. And obviously I don't know how long this is going on, so I don't really want to be doing 2, 3 times a day during lockdown and then going into a camp, doing a full camp. And by the time I fight, I'm burnt out. So I'm trying to keep it to once a day.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't find it hard to get motivated whatsoever. I've got 2 kids, so I need to provide for. So they're there for me.
There's your motivation, right?
Yeah, of course.
So can we talk about, because when, like, obviously I know who you are, know
Yeah,
your the great stuff that you've been doing in the pro ranks. But when I knew that you were coming on today, I went back and looked at your amateur accolades,
yeah.
and just incredible. You definitely have to be one of Wales' most successful amateurs, anyway, for sure, right?
Yeah, well, there's a boy. There's a few of us. You got myself, Andrew Selby, Fred Evans. Um, you had Colin Jones back in the day. Sean McColdrick.
Hmm.
We've all done like brilliant things in the amateur, and there was a lot of other fighters from Wales that went on to do good things. But if there was fighters, you would have seen.
Sorry, Joe.
It's
This
alright.
dog.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I got two
It
dogs
isn't
myself.
even
That's
my.
why I came out in the back
It's
room.
not my freaking dog. I found him today, so I'm like,
Serious?
yeah, I'm waiting for him to try and find his owner. And I tried to put him out the back while I was getting ready,
Yeah.
and he just kept barking. So I was like,
No,
okay,
no,
he'll
no.
come in,
Carry
but
on. There's no.
sorry. I'm just trying to like push him away.
Yeah. It's no. I got two dogs. They're all the same. That's why I came out in the back room.
What have you
Yeah.
got? What are they?
I got two French bulldogs. So
Oh, amazing,
they're hard work.
gorgeous. This is a little cocker spaniel, so
Yeah, lovely, lovely
yeah,
dog. He's hyper. I know that.
he's very friendly. Oh God, sorry.
No worries.
Boys, so what was it for you when you started? Like day one in the boxing gym, did you go to your parents and say, I want to start, or were you brought down? How did this all kick off for
Um,
you?
I always used to like mess around with my dad's. on the pads and stuff, and I always had boxing gloves in the house. But I never wanted to box. It's quite intimidating walking into a boxing gym.
Yeah.
I was playing rugby and football, and yesterday I was at my mum's and I was going through old photos, and I was picking up photos of like me playing rugby and stuff, and I played for Cardiff, East Wales, Cardiff schools all the way up till I was 15, and didn't really want to box. I didn't box until I didn't go to a boxing gym till I was 15.
Wow.
So for me, I was always fighting on a rugby pitch, and I was quite an aggressive kid. So for me, it was my dad's sort of had enough of me fighting, getting sent off all the time, and he thought, right, let's try him in a boxing gym. And I went to the boxing gym from my first session. I loved it, and I never looked back. And some of the messages I had this morning, I woke up to, obviously from them photos yesterday playing rugby. They were just saying you could have gone all the way in rugby, but luckily it's paid off in the boxing. But yeah, it's I'm so glad I chose what I did and went on with the boxing, because I'm in a great position and I'm truly blessed.
Would it be fair to say that you're the type of character that no matter what you had done, you would have been successful in it?
Yeah, I was one of them kids that natural at all sports. Everything I took to, I was good at. I played rugby, football, and obviously the boxing, and I played for my country. Obviously boxed. You don't play boxing, so I boxed and played rugby and football for my country, in 3 different sports. So I'm really proud of that, and not many people can say they've done it. So yeah, everything I went into, I took to like a duck to water.
So now that you've obviously had such a successful career, and we're seeing you, just undefeated in the pro ranks, doing so well, do you kind of thank your dad? Is he the reason that all this kicked off? Without him, do you reckon that you would have taken the step to go to the boxing gym?
Yeah, you'd have to say that, yeah. But there's also like my mum, who was taking me back and forth and stuff, and yeah, without them two, I probably wouldn't have been where I am, and I probably wouldn't have done what I've done playing football, rugby, or even boxing. So for them, I got a lot to be thankful for.
It's and I'm so happy that you brought it up and that you explained how you got started in boxing, because for a lot of parents, especially those who have young teens, young teen boys that maybe are going through a little bit of a turbulent time,
Yeah.
to be able to have the clarity to say, do you know what, I'm going to take him down to a boxing gym and see if we can sort him out. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of parents don't have that clarity or that willingness to do that. And we see time and time again how boxing and combat sports can really help, especially young males, young adults.
Yeah, well, for me, it was just soon as I went down to the boxing gym the one day, that was it. And I was just pestering my mum, my dad's. I don't think they would have cared if I never stuck to it, because I think it was just something to unleash a little bit of anger and some energy and whatever else. But yeah, I don't think they would have been bothered, especially my mother, because my uncle boxed, and she didn't really want me to box. But once I got into it and she'd seen I loved it, she done everything she possibly can to obviously make my dreams come true, which was to become a world champion once I started.
Can you remember the point where you kind of recognized it in yourself that you could be good at boxing and that you had a future in it?
Yeah, when I first won my first British championships, actually I beat Josh Taylor in the final, and I had a trial for GB. I didn't get on for the first trial. There was a lot of good fighters on there. I was pretty inexperienced. I think I only had around 20 odd fights at the time, and I'm competing against, trying to get on there, competing with the likes of Luke Campbell, Ian Weaver, John Quigley, Martin Wood, and all these fighters, and they were really experienced and been to world championships, European championships. But once I got on the GB after my second attempt, that's when I thought, okay, right now I think I can go all the way.
Like, obviously you had the Commonwealth win, the European win, you're Olympian.
Yeah.
Is there a proud moment, or what is the proudest of all of them, or do you just kind of, is it a cumulative sort of success?
It's an accumulation of certain things, but my there's two that really stuck with me, and I look at as my most proudest. It was when I won the European Championships, and when I qualified for Olympic Games. The Olympic Games sort of got the edge over it because when I first went to my first Olympic qualifier, I was, like I said, I was inexperienced. I was fighting, and I actually fought David Oliver Joyce.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, and I went in there, and I was like, I think I was like 9 points up in the first round, and I thought, oh, this is easy. It was my first tournament with 3 3-minute rounds, and then the second round he keeps coming. You know, he's relentless, and then he closed the gap, but I was still up. And then in the third round, I just died because I was just so inexperienced at that international level, and inexperienced all around, like as a boxer. But I learned lots from it, and he ended up stopping me. Nothing, not hurt, just totally wore me down, and I went away like distraught a bit. And then I came back and I thought, you know what, this guy has been around the block. He's beat Frampton as an amateur, and he's won a lot of tournaments and whatever else. And then when I qualified for Olympic Games for 2016, I actually beat him to qualify.
Wow!
So it was it was my revenge, and it was probably one of my greatest moments.
What was that like? You know, I imagine that the win is more sweet when you have that sort of like history in it.
Yeah, well, for me, when I didn't make 2012 and I went to Commonwealth Games, I thought, right, I'm gonna turn pro. And then once Rob McCracken actually sat me down and with a couple other fighters and was like, listen, you're expected to win Commonwealths. He said, no one, you ain't gonna earn any money just by winning the Commonwealth Games and turning pro and think you're gonna earn hundreds of thousands or millions or whatever. It ain't gonna happen like that. So I thought, you know what, he said, when you go to an Olympics, you've got a chance to change your life. And I thought, you know what, let me give it a crack. So for me to get to the Olympics, it took me close to 8 years to make an Olympic Games because I stayed on for 2 cycles. So for me, it was all that 8 years was led up to that one moment, and for me, it was like the weight of the world literally was on my shoulders going into it, and then I was free of the weight, and I qualified for Olympic Games and made my dreams come true.
So you must have a lot of compassion then for the guys that were set to go out in the 2020 Olympics and having these games held off until next year. Yeah. There's been a lot of chat online about, you know, certain people that were touted for gold, that were touted to medal. What should they do now? Do they hang on? Do they turn pro? Do they reassess? If you had been in the position, what do you think you would have chosen to do?
I probably would have stayed on. It's another year. I know it's another year, but for me, that it's another year for you to gain experience and potentially change your life and earn 10 times more than what you are going to go in if you turn over now. So for me, like a lot of my friends are still on the squad and they're trying to make the Olympic Games. Galal Yafai, Peter McGrail, they already qualified. And I spoke to Galal Yafai and I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there.
You're okay.
But I spoke to Galal Yafai and he wants to go on to make an Olympics, but same way you're still gonna have them little things in your mind thinking, shall I turn pro or do this? Because both of his brothers are pro, but I think he'll stay on, same as Peter McGrail. And I think if not only the British team, like the likes of the Irish team, there's a lot of talent in there, and I've seen a lot of the Irish team were around when I was around. So for me, I reckon they should all stay, and there's a lot of medals to be won.
Because obviously, I mean, there is a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences in between, you know, that elite level amateur and professional. I mean, like you said, we see with the Irish team here, there's only a small amount that really go on to have successful professional careers. Why do you think that is, in your opinion? Because it is an age-old kind of conversation where when the amateur that's really esteemed, that's done had a lot of accolades, when they do make that, you know, announcement that they're going to turn pro, a lot of people speculate, you know, how are they going to do? How will they fare with the kind of changes in the professional ranks? What do you think it is? What makes a successful amateur to pro?
I think a lot of the amateur setups now, they're all in-house, like with the GB squad, same with the Irish team. The GB team, you live on campus through the week. You're training 2-3 times a day. You've got stability. And when you turn pro, you're sort of left to your own devices. So now it comes down to yourself whether you're going to live the life, and that messes a lot of people up, a lot of fighters, and they have a couple of wins, their head gets a little bit swelled, and they start going on thinking they're King Kong. But that's you've had a couple of wins. You haven't won a world title. You haven't won nothing. Like people say to me, yeah, you won a British title. That's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, but they don't mean nothing to me. I didn't get into boxing for a British title or a Commonwealth or a WBA Intercontinental. I want to be a world champion. So for me, I think it's down to that, the setups, and where a lot of people ain't willing to learn new things. They think because they were the top of the amateur game, they can go in and still do the same things because it worked in the amateurs, but it don't. I had to change my whole style. I couldn't box how I box as an amateur in the pros because I wouldn't have lasted 3 rounds. So for me, it's about willing to learn new things, and understanding what you need to make a great pro. Like for me, I knew I had to learn how to fight on the inside, learn how to slow things down, sit on my shots, and not try and hit and try and move away as fast as I can. Like it just don't work like that. So for me, it was them two things for me, and I've done it. A lot of other fighters have done it, but like you said, there's a lot of fighters that come from the top of the amateur game and don't make it.
It's very interesting that to hear you talk about, you know, your perception of why that might be, and the drop off from, we'll say, the amateur training schedule to professional, then having to do it from yourself and learning, and the willingness to learn at a kind of new area of the sport is huge. And it reminded me of, I had Dominic Ingle on the other night, and he was speaking about Nazim Hamas and why he felt that, you know, he kind of, his not his problems, but his unwillingness to learn. Towards the end, when he reached a certain peak in his career, he stopped wanting to learn because he felt like he knew everything. And it was such a like an interesting thing, because it was like the same thing crops up again, you know, an unwillingness to learn. So it's really cool that you mentioned that was how you adapted, is you wanted to continue to learn.
Of course, like for me, when I watched Nassim Hamed, and he's one of the, when I first started boxing, he's someone I watched all the time. So for me, when I was grabbing out tapes off YouTube and whatever else, I seen an amateur fight when he was a kid, and he was boxing the same as a kid than he was till when he fought Barrera. So it was exactly the same. So like Dominic Ingle said, is unwilling to learn, and willingness to learn is played a big problem in his career. So
yeah. It's very interesting. So then, you know, when you did make that decision to turn pro, what was the final straw for you? Was it that you'd achieved everything that you wanted with the amateur? Did someone recommend that you turn pro? Was there an opportunity put on the table? What was it for you? What made you take the jump?
For me, like you said, I've done everything as an amateur. The only thing I set myself out to do and I didn't do was win an Olympic medal. And it was quite disappointing, and it played on my mind for months after. But I've done everything, and it was time to set new challenges and new goals. And for me, I needed to turn pro because I needed something new.
What do you need to achieve? Is it a world title in a professional career that would make the sort of, you know, not medaling at the Olympics, kind of the bitterness of that disappear?
Yeah. Like for me, there's nothing in this world right now, apart obviously my family and that, where I'd be more proud than to win a world title. That's what I need to do. I need to win a world title to make up for my loss in the Olympic Games. And like I've said it to everyone, pretty much everything apart from Olympic Games I set myself out to do, I've done. There was no fault apart from my own why I didn't win. Certain things I didn't do right, and I didn't take it serious, but I paid the price, but like it's put me where I am today. So but for me it would be to win a world title.
Is there a massive, I imagine there is, but is there a massive amount of pride in going to the Olympics and representing your country?
Yeah, well, like when I lost, one of the coaches said to me, they said, "Look how many people there are in the world." I thought I didn't even know how many there was. I think it was something like he said about 7 billion or something like that. So anyway, he said, "How many boxers there are in the world?" So he said, "I don't know." He said, "But there's a lot." He said, "In the millions." He said, "Now, how many amateur boxers?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "In the millions." He said, "Now, you're one of 34 fighters that have made the Olympic team, that made the Olympics in your weight in the world." He said, "So," he said, "do the math." I was like, and he said that. He said, "No." He said, "Look left." And this was when I won the European Championship. He said, "Look left." The same trainer. He said, "Look left, look right, look in front of you." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Now look behind you." I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're the champion of all that." And I thought, oh, you know, I said, "Yeah." So for me, it was like it's just an amazing feeling, and yeah, it's to make an Olympic Games, it's just unbelievable.
It's history. Do you know what I mean? You go into the history books.
Of course, I've got it tattooed on me, and I remember running. I was running the one day, and they went. There was kids, and they went, "Why have you got an Audi sign on the back of your leg?" I turned around, I just burst out laughing. But I have gone past, and people are like, "Oh, you Olympian?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." So they were like, "Oh, well done, mate, well done." And people always ask me because I got two sets of rings on. I got the ones on the back of my calf, and then I've got the Christ the Redeemer tattooed on me, as well with the Olympic rings. So, yeah, they always ask me, and am I Olympian? I say, yeah. And the way they speak about it, they're like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
you're an Olympian." And then you sort of realize, yeah, I am an Olympian. So for me, yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling.
Because it's one of those things that it can never be taken away from you. Do you
No,
know
you're
what
in
I
the
mean?
history books, like you said. So yeah, I'd love to have won a medal because then you're on that another level again of history making. So, but unfortunately, I didn't make it. But like I said to you, it's got me where I am today.
Absolutely. In terms of then when you did turn pro and you're getting settled into the new career and
Yeah,
obviously you're still undefeated. Is it 7 KOs that you have now?
7 KOs. Yeah.
7 KOs. Like not an easy feat, a professional by any means.
Mm.
Was it as you expected, the professional career? You know, when you decided to turn pro and you looked at, right, this is what I'm going to do, and you have obviously an idea of how it would be like. Is it as you expected?
Um, to be honest with you, it was better than what I expected. So I didn't expect to be fighting in my second fight in Wembley Stadium, my fourth fight in Principality Stadium, which is the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Then boxing in my sixth fight in the Millennium Stadium. Boxing in Bramall Lane. I didn't realize I was going to be fighting in all these big events and on the undercards of Lomachenko and whoever else and AJ obviously. So yeah, it was better than what I expected. But what I didn't sort of take into consideration is how I'm gonna have to live my life. And I decided to go up to Essex with Tony Sims, and I didn't realize how lonely sometimes it gets because I'm away from my family and whatever else. But at the same time, it keeps you motivated, keeps you hungry, and you can solely concentrate on boxing. So for me, in the end, when I sort of realized, and I spoke to a lot of people, they said you got the perfect setup. So yeah, I thought to myself, yeah, it's just the sacrifices I've had to make. It sort of does my head in at times, but I think I need that sacrifice and to keep me hungry and to keep motivated.
Well, and it's another good point that you make there is that the sacrifice. I don't think a lot of boxing fans or the public understand. They hear boxers say all the time the sacrifices that have to be made to be a great boxer, to be, you know, a world champion contender. But they don't really understand what those sacrifices mean and where they show up. And it is stuff like not being able to be around your family and, you know, the hard training days and the loneliness that goes
Yeah,
into it. So it's really important that it's good that you mentioned it, you know?
yeah. Well, for me, I got onto the GB squad in 2010, and I was on there for just shy of 8 years. So since 2010, that's not no, I think 2009. Sorry, I got on the GB squad. So I've been living away from my family. Like I've been seeing them once every weekend or whatever. But I've sacrificed all them that the going out to seeing my family, and doing things that normal teenagers do. I sacrificed all that. My teens, I just sacrificed my teens basically, for 11 years. But it's something I want at the end of it. So I'm going to keep sacrificing, keep pushing hard till I make my dream a reality.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I sound like such an old woman in saying this, but when you're like at that age and all this is going on with your friends around you and they're partying and there's different things happening, and if you are sacrificing them one way, you know, you're like, oh, I'm missing out and it's hard, but it's really until you get into your, well, at 35 now, I look back at my 20s and I'm like, what was I doing? I should have been focusing. I should have been like, you know, like going after a dream or a goal in some big capacity, because now I will be 10 years ahead in that goal or that dream. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good perspective.
Yeah, well, like for me, like I said to you, I sacrificed everything, down to eating the rubbish food that we all crave, going out partying, having a little drink. I don't drink, so for me, it's about, like I said to you, it's them little sacrifices that keep you hungry and keep you motivated to reach them goals. And like you said, sometimes it gets too far on, and then when you look back and think, I should have done this, should have done that. So it's about now just grasping hold of it and just making sure you do everything right. And in the pros, you can't afford to do anything wrong. And I've always said it. They were like, "Oh, come out." I said, "No, I ain't going nowhere." Unless when I fight, I have little night outs. I don't drink though. I just go out just to socialise, and see friends I haven't seen through 10 weeks of camp and whatever else. But yeah, it's once I win a world title, then I can do whatever I missed out.
The not drinking, is that from a health perspective, or, you know, have you never drank?
No, I never drank till I was 21, 22. Never really drank. Even I didn't like it. And all the rugby boys I was with and all the boys I grew up with, they were all starting to have a little drink and whatever else. But I never sort of took to it. And then after I came back from the Commonwealth Games, I just forced it down me. I had a medal, I forced it down me. And to be honest, I had like 2 years of having a little drink. And I thought, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I just knocked it on the head and I thought, that's not for me. It's not for me. And then after the Olympics, I had a little drink when I was on holiday. And I just sat back and thought, nah. Once I finish boxing to like win a world title, then I'll have a drink, and I probably won't even then, because I don't enjoy it. It don't taste nice. You're not yourself. It's another person. So yeah. So like for me, and obviously when I'm out on a night out or whatever, and you're looking at people and you're thinking, nah, I don't want to be like that. So yeah, for me, it's just it don't appeal to me at all.
I always said that everybody that drinks should have one night out where they don't drink, so that they can see what everyone else looks like drunk, right?
Yeah, it's madness. Some of the things I've seen is unreal.
I believe you.
Yeah.
What's your understanding of greatness?
Greatness. Achieving, like as a personal level, just achieving whatever you set out to do, and being able to provide for everyone in your family. But like people see it in different ways. Like Muhammad Ali was great because he stood for something. He achieved everything, but he stood for something. And for me, yeah, okay, you stand for something, but that's why he was great. But I want to be great in my own way, in achieving what I set out to do and being able to provide for my family.
Yeah, well, that's a good definition of it, right?
Well, it's like people got different views on greatness and different opinions, but yeah, for me, that's what it is.
I don't know if you've been watching The Last Dance on Netflix.
Yeah,
Obviously,
finished it yesterday.
yeah, me too. How good is it? Absolutely brilliant. But one of the biggest takeaways that I took from it is, you know, Michael Jordan's definition of greatness and what he had to strive to do and who he had to be to achieve greatness. And while we sit back and we look at him and we go, God, he was so great, there'll never be anyone like him again, there's also a negative side or what could be perceived as a negative side because of obviously the way that he, you know, was with his teammates, the way that he with media and stuff like that. And so it's why I ask it, because it's I love to hear what other people's perception of the word greatness is. And it's sort of like, you know, for myself, sometimes I feel a bit guilty when I put too much emphasis on work and I miss birthdays and I'm away for different things. And then you kind of have that thing of like, I have to do this in order to achieve what I have to achieve.
Yeah, you're right. And like you put Muhammad Ali, if Muhammad Ali was how Michael Jordan was in the sport of boxing, he wouldn't have been great.
Yeah.
So it's just like they would have looked at him and thought he's arrogant, he's this, he's that. Nah, they wouldn't have took to him because of what he stood for and how he was in boxing. And you're in a lone sport. He was great, and he achieved everything. He gave time to everyone. He was the people's champion, and he is the legend. And God rest him. But Michael Jordan was great in his own way. How he was with his teammates, you mentioned there, a lot of them didn't like him on the court, but they loved him off the court. So yeah, he was. It's just how you look at it. And like you said, that's how we had to be great.
Absolutely. It's perception, right?
Yeah, of course.
What's been the best advice that you've been given? And who was it by?
Well, I've been given a lot of advice, actually. Rob McCracken, actually. It was Rob McCracken. Don't turn pro until you make an Olympic Games. Don't turn pro until you make an Olympic Games. And for me, he just explained everything in there. Like, I know we get advice of how to go about your business and in boxing terms and how to do this, how to do certain things, but I get that off Joe blogs as well.
Yeah.
And they've never boxed, so yeah, and it sounds good, and it's probably something that someone like Nigel Benn have told me. So you're thinking, but yeah, 1,000,001 people can tell me that. But how Rob McCracken sat me down with, I think it was Fraser Clark, Joshua Buatsi, and I think AJ was sat on the side of the ring with us as well. But obviously he turned pro already. But yeah, he sat us down. He was like, "Listen, don't turn pro," because everyone was telling us to turn pro, especially me. You might as well turn pro. And then he said, "Don't turn pro." He said, "Listen, you're expected to win an Olympic Games. No promoter cares about a Commonwealth Games. Not Olympics, a Commonwealth. No one cares about a Commonwealth Games. You're expected to win it." But I had a bronze. He said, "You're expected to win it." He said, "Now, if you turn pro, you're only going to get this. You're going to get this. You're going to be sink or swim. They'll chuck you in. You might give you an easy touch, but they'll chuck you in to see if you can actually fight." So he said, "Right, go to Olympic Games. You'll get more money. You'll get looked after. You've got the platform. You'll have everything you want." And for me, it was the best advice I've ever been given. Ever.
And to come from Bob McCracken as well.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it seems, I've never met him, but it's just, I so many people that have worked with him, from boxers to media to outside of that, everyone has got like an inspirational story or an inspirational quote from him, you know?
He, like, going into the gym, and you tell us so many stories, and just the experience you've had and the things you've been around, the boxing he's been around. 2 seconds. Sorry, they're doing my barbecue out the back. So yeah, show me chicken wings. But yeah, the stories he's told me and the people he's been around and the experience he's had, it's just it's amazing.
Who inspired you growing up? What boxer stood out for you?
For me, I remember when I was young, I wasn't even boxing. I think I was about 7, 8. I woke up in the middle of the night and my mum and dad was actually watching Nassim Mohammed.
Wow.
So he's the first memory I've got of boxing. Nassim Mohammed, also Mike Tyson. They used to stay up and watch. But for me, who I looked up to and was Sugar Ray Leonard. When I got into boxing and I started watching Sugar Ray Leonard, my dad gave me the DVD of the Fabulous Four,
Yeah.
and it was Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, and Duran. And for me, straight away, Leonard. And I watch him all the time before my fights. I got the same highlight reel that I watch, and it's for me. He's the best of all time for me.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah, twice.
Oh, no way.
No,
Did you
actually,
tell him?
3 times. 3 times.
Did you tell him?
The second time I did.
What did you say?
Second time, I just said, "You're my idol." I was. The first time I met him, I was a kid, and I literally just started boxing, so I was a bit like I didn't know what I was, like a giddy kid, which I was at the time. I was giddy, and but the second time I was watching him all the time, and then it sort of sank in that I'm sat with a legend of boxing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "You're my idol." I couldn't stop smiling. And the third time, it was great, but I was a bit older. Shook his hand, had a photo, whatever else, and that was great. So yeah, it was nice feeling.
It's so nice. Because they say don't ever meet your idols. Well, I'm glad that you had 3 good experiences.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was. He was one of the nicest guys, like, in boxing I've met. He was so polite, so well spoken, and the thing I've got. We had a dinner sort of sit down talk with him, and I've gone, you weren't allowed to take gloves. You weren't allowed to have a picture apart from in the what's it called upstairs by the company who put it on. You weren't allowed to. You had to buy the stuff through the auction, but I took a glove anyway, and I went off to the toilet. And he just pulled up in the car. So I run back to my table. No one knew he was out. Got the pen, got my glove, run out. They were trying to stop me from having a thing. I said, Ray, can you sign this for me? And he said, yes, no problem, son. So he said, what's your name? He said, Joe. I said, Joe. He went, my name's Ray. So he shook my hand, and he put to Joe, Sugar Ray, the champ, with a glove with a smiley face in it. And and I've still got that glove now, and yeah, it's one of my treasures.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, I give you a better story.
Go on.
I walked into a pub. My trainer rang me. I was just about to go to the gym. I had my wash vest on, my first wash vest. Walk into a pub. He said, come to pick me up at the Tavy because we were going to the gym, which was his local. Gone in. There was no one in there. I've looked at the back and there was some black guy, sat down. I'm thinking, I know this. I know, he looks familiar. So I've walked a little bit closer and I recognised his chains. It was only Joe Fraser sitting at the back.
Get the boat.
Swear to God. I just literally started boxing, so I was 16. I took my vest off. I said, Joe, he said, what's your name? I said, Joe. He went, I couldn't really understand what he was saying because he was so croaky voice. My name Joe too. That's all I remember hearing him say. And I took my vest off. He signed it for me. Same again, one of my treasures, and put away safe. But that was an amazing experience too.
Wow, what a story.
Madness.
You've had enough meeting legends now.
Yeah.
Let somebody else meet some legends.
Yeah, I know. I've had a few. I've had a few good ones.
Well, I interviewed Conor Ben the other night,
Yeah.
and he was like in the middle of the interview, and then his dad came out and said something to him, and he's like, "Oh, there's my dad." I was like, "No, don't put him on." I nearly died because it's like that thing. Nigel Benn, Ricky Hatton, Frank Bruno, because I grew up watching them on TV.
Well, my dad, Nigel's his favourite fighter growing up, same. But they were same age. But when my dad just obviously got his own household and he's watching boxing, he was the main guy around, and he was his favourite fighter. But me being in the gym with Conor, I got the privilege of training with Nigel too. So sometimes I got to pinch myself and think, I'm training with Nigel Benn.
It's like, and when I tell
people stories, they were like, man, get me a glove, and I'm like, nah.
So Conor was just looking at me, being like, God, you're an idiot.
It's normal for him. You can see some of the little back and forth squabbles they have. It's so funny.
Yeah, they seem like they've got a really good relationship. So it's very nice to see.
I said, Connor, you want to be careful. Your old man can still fight, man. Allow me. But nah, it's great, and Nigel is a legend, and yeah, same way. I feel the same way when I'm in the gym.
Absolutely. He is a legend, not only for his boxing, but also for his openness to be
So,
open about, what he's experienced in his life and, giving advice to the future generations. That's what makes him a legend in my mind.
yeah, of course.
But while we were talking, everyone has an opportunity to send in some questions that they want
Okay.
to ask you. So I'll pick 2 or 3 and then we'll let you get back to your barbecue.
Sure. Thank you.
Let's see. Loads of people are asking, how did you start boxing? Why did you start boxing? But we spoke about it at the start. Suhail Ibkal, I think it is, said, me meeting you would be like you meeting Joe Frazier. So that's very nice.
Yeah, that's good. Drop me a message and I'll give him a follow.
Oh, there he goes. Oh, this thing has happened again, and now it won't leave the screen. Let's see. Hang on. Favorite. David has asked, what is your favorite win in your professional career? If you put your head up a little bit so that you're over this question, because I can't have everything by accident and it won't let me get it off.
Can you see now?
We can see you now. Yeah, perfect.
My favorite win is probably either Enrique Tinoco or Gavin Gwynn.
Oh, very interesting.
So yeah, that was both of them was quite one of my probably one of my best wins. One of them, either one.
Siobhan has asked, what's the one thing that you do to get motivated when you get ready to walk out for a fight?
I have a lot of things, but as long as I pray, and I just think of my kids and my family, and that gets me motivated.
Do your kids know what dad does?
And now they do. They know what I do. Yeah, but they don't have a care in the world. Like they look up at the photo. Daddy, you're the champion. I say, I know, but they don't watch me. I don't allow them to watch me. For me, my eldest daughter's starting to understand now and says to everyone, my dad's got bigger muscles than you. He could beat you up, and I'm thinking, don't get me into trouble. But it's starting to understand a little bit.
Karen has asked, if you could isolate with 5 people, dead or alive, who would you choose?
Who asked me that the other day? They asked me, Melissa, she asked me the same question. Probably I'll say Sugar Ray Leonard for one. For me, it has to be Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather. How many is that? 4?
Floyd's, Sugar Ray Leonard's, Ali.
Yeah.
That's 3. Who else did you have?
Ali.
One more.
One more. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's a good table. Derek has asked, you mentioned Mike Tyson. What's your opinion on his alleged comeback?
Personally, I don't think he will come back.
Do you think it's all just hype?
Yeah, I think obviously if he's saying it, I think he's just probably playing along with some people. He don't need to make a comeback. Before, when he did make a comeback and he got beat by Danny Williams and some of the other fighters, it wasn't Mike Tyson. And now he don't need to. Back then he wasn't financially secure. He lost all his money, but now he's financially secure again. And he's probably got more money now than he did when he was boxing. So I don't think he needs to come back, and I don't think he will.
No. I mean, the 8-second pads video was great and all, but I don't think we need to see him back.
I'll tell you one thing. He ain't going to pass the drug test, is he?
This is the thing. This is the thing. So unless it's like, smoking a blunt is allowed. Yeah. Very last question. So there's a really good one there from Anthony, and he's asked, I'm a young amateur, 13 years old. What advice could you give me for achieving my world title dreams?
Believe in yourself, one. And for me, like as a kid, you have to sacrifice like I did. not everyone. A lot of people got natural talents. Some people work hard and whatever else. But if you sacrifice and work hard and believe in yourself, you can achieve anything. No one knew, like for instance, Floyd Mayweather or Ali or Tyson, when they were a kid, probably didn't think they would become multi-millionaires, world champions, and
Yeah.
beat. No one knows what's going to happen. So just believe in yourself and just try to be the best version of you can every single day.
Brilliant advice. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for the
No problem.
time. I really appreciate it. That was excellent.
Lovely to
And
speak to you.
yeah, you too, and enjoy your barbecue.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you out soon, and hopefully we'll get to see you along the way next fight, and we'll do a proper interview.
Lovely.
Brilliant.
Take
Thanks
care.
so much. See you again.
God bless.
Bye bye. You too. You too.